we wanted to start at the pathway today because we're really doing, and we sent the card out, we're celebrating that the Hutchinson Community Foundation has reached the endowed dollars of over $1 million. So we've now got $1 million in our endowment, and that allows us to grant nearly $50,000 a year for various projects in and around the community. And I thought we'd be interesting for us to start by talking about where this started. Where did this organization start? How did it start? And how did we get from zero to $1 million? So I'm going to just touch briefly on the history of the foundation, at least as near as I remember and can find in my research. So if you want to, so the idea of creating a community foundation, as it's been told to me, was the idea of Irv Birch. And Irv Birch was someone who cared deeply and greatly about the community. So I found a Leader article from 2011 that Kay Johnson wrote when we reached a $500,000 milestone. And in that, she had a quote from Chuck Carlson, and everybody probably remembers Chuck. Chuck was a pharmacist, and he's no longer with us. But Chuck's quote was this, and this is from Kay's article: Irv knew that nobody was going to give to the Citizens Bank Foundation. So what he said was really, we needed a community foundation. So with that thought, Irv rallied his friends and acquaintances and people in the community to start a foundation. And in 1999, Irv gave the community foundation $35,000 of seed money to start the community foundation. That $35,000 has now grown to over $1 million. So it's kind of a vision I think Irv had, and he surrounded himself with some interesting people that you're all going to recognize. The original board of directors in 1999 was led by Neil Jensen, who was president. I asked Neil to come here. He opted for the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits, so you know Neil, dedicated. The other board members were Jay Byteen, Carol Hawkes, Chuck Carlson, Dwayne Peterson, Robert Peterson, Linda Remico, George Buzzy Smith, Irv Birch, and Vi Mayer. Now, most of those have passed on, but they all were part of the original board that started this foundation. The foundation itself was, I wouldn't say moving forward very fast. I remember talking with Irv many times about how do we do this, how do we manage. Foundations aren't easy to manage. And in 2002, the Community Foundation decided to partner with Southwest Initiative Foundation. And Diana's here, Liz is here from the foundation. That's been a great relationship. So almost nearly 19 going on 20 years that the Southwest Initiative Foundation has managed not only the financial management, but the governance of the foundation, which is extremely difficult for an independent group to manage. So thank you to both Liz and Diana for the efforts that the foundation make. They make the process of running a foundation for a community a lot simpler than it is. In 2002, the endowment fund had $21,000 in it. So we started with $35,000 in '99 to get it organized and funded, and literally not good fundraising efforts. We went from $35,000 to $21,000 in the first 3 years of the organization's existence. In 2002, the Founders Fund, which is this Founders Pathway, which many of you are familiar with, was an idea that was started. That was in 2002, and in 2005, the actual pathway came to fruition. I'm going to back up 1 year. In 2004, then, the 2005, the pathway was part of the I'm not going to say it, the 150th anniversary of the city, because I have to say that twice and I won't say it right either time. So in '05, the board decided that this was a vision they had, and they wanted to have it completed by 2005, because in 2005 was also the same time that the Hutchinson brothers statue, which was a gift from the Hutchinson Telephone Company, was completed, and then this pathway was part of that. Back to 2004. In 2004, the first grants given by the foundation was totaled $4,000, and it was the biggest single grant of the $4,000 that were given were to put automated doors on our library. So that's the kind of project that we've been able to do. That was in 2004, so we move on to 2005. 2005, the pathway was completed. Many of you were involved. This was the initial fundraiser to take us from that $20,000 and start growing it. And our goal was to get to $1 million. The theory was if we sold every one of these pavers, we'd have $1 million in our endowment. You can see that we haven't sold every one of the pavers, but we have $1 million in our endowment, which is a good thing because we've been fortunate enough to have families and individuals give gifts of varying sizes that have helped us that have helped us raise additional dollars. So as we stand here today, we have 180 pavers in the inside. We've 71, I think, Robert, that we've got sold. So we have essentially we have another 110 pavers. These pavers are sold for the foundation contribution is $5,000, and these pavers that are left to be sold could generate another $500,000 if we can get them sold. So I'm not necessarily speaking to the people that haven't already participated, because most of you have already been great supporters of the Community Foundation, but it's exciting to say that we have another $500,000 worth of pavers to sell to raise our endowment dollars. In September 11th, 2005, the pathway was dedicated in a program that was held here, and then it followed up at the library with an ice cream social. It was a nice event, and that was the start of the pathway. Another milestone was in 2010. We reached $500,000 in endowment dollars. At that point in time, we had given $60,000 in grants back to the community. So essentially from 99 to 2010, we had given $60,000 in grants. Brings us to today and why we're here to celebrate our progress. Today in 2021, we have over $1 million, almost $1,100,000 in the foundation. To date, not counting 2020, we have given 175 grants from the foundation for a total $370,000 in grants back to the community. So that just shows the impact that this can have. That has gone to many, many organizations. Some have been repeat organizations, but the fact that we can stand here today and know, Johnny, we've got a granting period that will start in September. We'll be granting in excess of $40,000 this year, again, to community projects. So it's made an extremely large impact on our community, and I think it's only just going to grow from here, and it's not going anywhere. It's going to be around forever, and it can continue to make Hutchinson a better place to raise your family and live for those of us that choose to do that. On behalf of the Community Foundation, I want to express a deep gratitude to you. Many of you are donors and contributors, many of you are supporters, many of you are interested. It's thanks to you that this foundation, and thanks to the vision that those leaders of our community had 20 some odd years ago to put an instrument like this in place to carry on and to make Hutchinson a better place for all of us to live and raise families. So thanks to all of you for participating, and let's go enjoy the rest of the evening at Arts Place. Thank you. Some of the people who have benefited, that's not really a good word. Some of the people that have been fortunate enough to get grants from the foundation over the last 17 years, since 2004, since the first grant was given. So again, as we touched on, because I think the group is essentially the same group, we've had the opportunity to grant 175 grants since 2004 for the nearly $370,000. And as I repeated at the park, we have over $1 million, almost $1,100,000 in the endowment, which should allow us to grant nearly $50,000 in grants to the community projects. So what I thought we should do, and what I've asked and we discussed as a committee, is to have some of the people who have been, I don't say people, the organizations and their representatives to speak just a little bit about what they got or the grants and what effect this program, the Community Foundation, has had on the organization. So I asked Keith Camrath, Rhonda Berkeley, and Jim Fahey to speak. I'm going to start with Keith. Keith is a board member, longtime board member, lifelong community member, resident, and been active in School District 423 for a long time, Keith. I don't know, 20 plus years? So Keith, if you could come up and just speak briefly, we're going to just touch on a little bit about what the foundation has meant to the school district. Thanks.
Well, thanks, Tim. I appreciate this opportunity to publicly recognize and thank the Hutchinson Community Foundation for their steadfast support over this many years. It is just amazing. Back in 2004, the school district received its first grant, one of, I think, to date, 30 grants totaling over $58,000 so far. So we're just very appreciative of the support that has come from the Community Foundation. And I looked at the list. I hadn't seen a list of all the grants before, because most of these, or a lot of these, don't go through the school board or central office. So it was interesting to see the breadth and the extent of the grants from, of course, academics, but the fine arts, activities, athletics. You think of the number of students that have gone through the Hutchinson School District in the past 17 years and the ripple effect that those kinds of things have. It's a meaningful effect. So we're very appreciative of that. So I'd like to just give you a little personal story that goes along with, and I think really illustrates the care for community and the generosity that exists in the Hutchinson Community Foundation. Back in 2008, the school district, IC 423, started its own foundation, and we were a little concerned because of other foundations in the community, but the Hutchinson Community Foundation did not at all view us as competition, but really rather as another means to a way to benefit the Hutchinson community. In fact, Tim Ulrich served as a founding member of our foundation board and was very helpful getting our fledgling foundation off the ground. We have $241,000 in our foundation, so you see how the ripples go out in pretty meaningful ways from this. So thank you to all of you who have been part of this, and on behalf of the Hutchinson Board of Education, the students of Hutchinson, and really the whole community, to one of our very, very most supportive community partners, we say congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. I'm going to get back up here because it just feels better. All right. Keith, thanks for those nice comments. It is interesting. Keith and I were involved in 08 on the school foundation. And yeah, I asked him a week or two ago where it was at. He did some research and dug into it. I appreciate that. That's pretty exciting to see that grow as well. The second guest we have is Rhonda Berkeley. Rhonda is the Executive Director for the McLeod Alliance for Victims of Domestic Violence. You don't have to step up here, Rhonda. You can stand on the floor. But we really appreciate it. The Alliance has been a partner with the foundation for many, many years. And I appreciate the fact that Rhonda took the time to come and share her story.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am the Director of McLeod Alliance, as Tim said. I am here on behalf of our board and staff to say thank you so much for your generous support over the years. We've received over $16,000 from the foundation. We could not do it without the support of this community. We serve generally on a typical year. We're pushing 400 clients a year now for our small staff of 4, and that does not include, we typically were, I would say, between 1,100 and 1,500 crisis and support calls we take a year, and people don't realize that it is out in our community. So we just can't thank you enough for the support. We do receive government funding, but that only covers about 60% of our overhead. So funds that you give us support things like youth groups, because of course we're trying to break the cycle. We've served now a family with grandma, mom, and granddaughter now that have been served in the same family. So we're working very hard to try and break the cycle. Just today, we had a former client come back in, and the minute she walked into our door, she said, I just love coming back here. It's such a sense of peace, and I'm so happy you're here for us. So we changed the way we serve clients a little bit this past year. We do more online and and via phone, but we are still here. We are like the foundation. We're not intending on going anywhere. And one thing that I have to tell all of you is when I go to statewide director meetings, they're all in awe of the community support that our organization receives sometimes without even asking for it. So kudos to this community, and thank you so much. Our door is always open.
And the final guest that we have to speak, and this is a friend of mine, Jim Fay. He's going to speak a little bit about, I challenged him and I gave him a couple of topics because he wears many hats. I figured if anybody, he's a professional speaker, I figured what the heck, I'm going to give him a big load. So Jim's going to talk a little bit about the impact the foundation has had on the community arts and historic Hutchinson.
Thank you, Tim. And congratulations to the foundation. It's like pretty amazing because we all remember when it was started and it was pretty meek and humble. You think about a $35,000 investment and all the lives that it's touched. And I think we've learned that. I know that our family sure has. When we think about historic Hutchinson, which is 22 years old now, and we've got our fingerprints on many different things, and the foundation has been with Historic Hutchinson all that way, to the tune of about $11,000 in grants, but also to the arts community, the theater company, and to the Center for the Arts. All these new ideas, many of them came out of the very first Blandon Community Leadership Program, River Song, and many others. And when you add all that together, between the arts community and the historic community, $65,000 reinvested back into the community on behalf of that, all with this pretty humble beginning with a good vision that Irv had and getting the right people around the table. So when I was thinking about the foundation, I think the thing that came up in my mind is that it's forever. And there's not too many things that we can think about that last forever. We are all aging together. Linda and I have been here, we talked with Tom, we've been here for 44 years. You know, that's a long time. And those decades go by. And it's an investment that we can make because that investment will outlive us all, just like it outlived many of the original folks who gathered around this idea. And that's huge, so it will truly keep on giving, keep on growing. So congratulations to the foundation to be almost $1.1 million strong from a $35,000 original investment, and all of the folks in this room that have helped make that grow. And it is generational. The attitude at City Hall will ebb and flow over the years, but the community foundation will be consistent to grow and reinvest. That's just an amazing gift to all of us on the receiving end and to all of us on the giving end, because we know that it's protected. So on a personal note, our family took a little journey with Liz and her staff this year, and started a family advised fund. And we get to advise those donations similar to the community foundation, and it's structured in a way that Linda and I and our children and our grandchildren will have the opportunity to advise the direction of those funds as that grows. And but it sunsets. It sunsets, and when it sunsets, we had to pick a benefactor, and that discussion lasted all of about 3 or 4 seconds, right? It was a pretty easy decision. And that was the Hutchinson Community Foundation. So when our family is done and that advised fund sunsets, then every year the Hutchinson Community Foundation will get income from those funds. And I don't say that in an arrogant way, but in an extremely humble way to be able to do that. But to know how peaceful that is what will happen in the future. And the Southwest Initiative Foundation is such a gift to our community because they're there for us to advise us and help us when we have an idea. And I can just say, that it's just been an amazing experience, and we've used them a couple of times. So with that, this is time to celebrate. Thank you for being here tonight, and we just couldn't be more proud to be a part of this community. It's great.
Keith, Rhonda, Jim, thank you so much for those. I think those are the stories that kind of make it really bring us back to why we do what we do and why we spend the time and energy trying to generate the funds that we do and to work hard to make it have a positive effect on our community. One reminder, we have Johnny $45,000. Our grant period opens up this month, and we'll be granting that by December 1st.
Yeah.
So that'll happen. That'll be this cycle, and that'll take us over $400,000 in grantable dollars since the first grant of 2004. That's exciting. Sorry, I have notes so I don't forget something. If there's questions, anybody has questions about any of this, I'm going to run through who our current board is, and I'm going to do that right now. That board is myself, Robert Honke, and most of us are here. Johnny Flock, Mark Maxie's here, Jerry Lindbergh, Jerry's here. Mary Inglis wasn't able to be here, Don Walzer wasn't, Matt Pokerbeck's on the board, Matt's here, Joey's here, hiding in the corner. Cheryl Dooley, thank you. Joe Nagel's not here, and Dan Mahan is not here. So if you have any questions or have any interest in getting involved in the foundation, we're always looking for board members, we're looking for people to get involved. So feel free to contact any one of us. And the final thing I'm going to do is ask Liz Cheney. Liz is going to come up. Liz is the VP of Philanthropy at the Southwest Initiative Foundation. We've been working together for a long, long time. I served on many committees there and the board. And she's really what's driven this foundation for years, even though you're not really the one helping us anymore. You handed us off. But we appreciate that.
Thanks,
We're going to have, go ahead.
So, as Tim mentioned, I'm Liz Cheney. I'm on staff at Southwest Initiative Foundation. Thanks for having me. My husband and I and our son live here in Hutchinson too, so we call Hutchinson home. I just wanted to take a moment, make sure you all have a beverage in your hand, and offer a toast.
Oh, do it. Oh, just get started.
So, as was mentioned previously, Southwest Initiative Foundation is the partner organization for Hutchinson Area Community Foundation. We also work with 29 other communities in the Southwest Minnesota region, making this kind of philanthropic vehicle available. So here we go. It's a long one, but I'd ask you to raise your glass.
I'm going to ask you to take a time out while we get there.
Okay.
Some of us don't have glasses. Keep talking about your work.
Okay.
I'm sure you lose the program.
So you've maybe driven by our building, just up the road on the corner of Highway 7 and 15 and wondered, what are they all about? Well, we are all about Southwest Minnesota creating opportunity for the kids and families who call Southwest Minnesota home. We do a lot of different work in order to make that vision come true, and one of those pieces of work is working with communities like Hutchinson to do this kind of thing. So what do we offer communities like Hutchinson would be, I would call it, the boring stuff, the paperwork, the IRS reporting that nonprofits are required to do that can be burdensome for volunteer groups. And then the Community Foundation has this wonderful board of local volunteers who are building relationships and building awareness and doing the good work here in Hutchinson. Are we ready?
did really good.
Fantastic. Great. So if you would all, it's a long one, so bear with me, but please raise your glass. Cheers to the numbers. A $1.1 million unrestricted endowment fund to serve the community today and into the future. More than $360,000 in grant investments from that endowment fund without touching the original gifts. And over $45,000 available to grant to community needs this fall. Cheers to the people, to the founders and the visionaries with the big ideas and the courage to get this thing started 20-something years ago. You might say they had $1 million idea. Am I right? Get it? Okay. 20 years ago, those friends used words like future, results, credible, success, commitment, and growth. I trust we've made them proud. Cheers to the volunteers today who make the magic happen. This committed board of directors and those who have served in the past. To the generous hearts, the supporters in this room today, and those we have lost over the years. There's more. Thank you for giving back to this awesome place and creating so much good in Hutchinson. Thank you for your time, your talent, and your treasure. And cheers to community. Hutchinson is a special place. We all know that because we call this place home. So, to the Hutchinson Area Community Foundation, congratulations, amazing friends, on this incredible milestone for your community. Thank you, and cheers.
We started late. I don't know my glasses. All right, final thing I want to do is a brief thank you. I want to thank the people that served on this committee, I don't know, really committee, the people that were active in putting this event together, and it was a bit of a, it was what it was. Julie Jensen. Julie Jensen is, for those of you that don't know Julie, and I'm not going to make her stand up because she'd be really mad at me, but Julie Jensen is one of those people that is an exceptional resource and somebody I turn to. And she's been involved in this and helped with many of the facts and figures that I pretended like I knew. So that was grateful, Julie. Thank you. Jerry Lindbergh. Jerry, thank you. Glad you could get back to town for the event. Cheryl Tooley. Cheryl, thanks for helping with everything. Joey's hiding in the corner. Joey's been a great, always a great help when you're planning an event. Johnny Block for the technology expert that he might be. I also want to thank Bussy, where are you? Oh, thank Jerry Bussy for being the bartender and helping us out tonight. And as always, Kayla and Val, if you guys could come in. Kayla and Val are, there's Jerry. I can see his shadow. Jerry's the bartender. Thanks, Jerry helps us out whenever we need it. He's a great guy. And then finally, Compass Occasions, Val and Kayla, who run this facility and have been so helpful. We appreciate it. So if you ever have a need to be here or have an event, call them, contact them, and they'll do everything in their power to make sure that it comes off successfully. Once again, thank you everyone for attending. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten, and I would encourage you to hang around and visit a little bit with the people that have been involved if you're interested. But that concludes tonight's program. Thank you so much.